In today's video, we're going to walk you through how the new AI Max feature works inside Google Ads so that you know what to expect if you turn it on for any of your own campaigns. And this is solely what I saw based on one of the companies that I'm working with that wanted to test out using AI Max and turning it on for some of their main campaigns. Now, I haven't asked the company that we're working with if we can show the numbers and the data from the results that they achieved using AI Max. But just to give you some context, it's quite a large account that are spending roughly nearly about 1,000 per day. And they wanted to try out AI Max on some of their main campaigns because it was quite a large account with a lot of campaigns overall. So what we actually did was instead of making brand new campaigns and just turning on AI Max from the very beginning, is that we duplicated each of these main campaigns, and that way then those campaigns would already have their existing keywords and ads and everything like that. But all we did then with the new duplicated campaign was turned on AI Max and just let it run side by side with the original campaign, but the AI Max one had a lower budget overall. And the main thing we noticed with running these two campaigns alongside each other, so a regular search campaign that was running for a long time that was using almost exclusively exact and phrase match keywords versus running the new AI Max campaign, is that the AI Max campaign was still generating quite a lot of conversions here in the dashboard, but the main difference, and the biggest difference by far that you'll notice when you turn on AI Max for any campaign, is that the search terms you'll see inside the search terms report, first of all, there's just going to be so much more search terms overall. And there will also be a lot of irrelevant search terms that you'll see here that would also have to be added as negative keywords to your campaign. So, overall, what we didn't do in this case was just make a new campaign and go as far as the campaign settings and simply just turn on AI Max, because essentially what that would look like would be keyword list targeting, where they do all the keyword targeting and make all your ads and everything like that on your behalf. And essentially, what that would look like if you were to compare it to a regular search campaign, it would be like comparing it to a search campaign that's literally just running broad match keywords and with automatically created ads and assets. But what we did was we duplicated the campaign that already existed that they wanted to use AI Max in, which helped to some extent because with AI Max, you're still able to use negative keywords and add those in advance. So that's going to help you filter out a lot of the irrelevant traffic that you'd appear for if you didn't already have those in place. So the main thing you will likely see is that, let's just say you're running a regular search campaign that you've been running the whole time, and let's just say you're running exact and phrase match keywords for the most part because the service that you offer is very specific, which is also the case for them. Then having a new campaign that's the exact same campaign but AI Max turned on, it's simply just opening you up to a ton of more search terms, that a lot of which are irrelevant search terms, but you can also get some search terms that you appear for that can be good quality traffic that you wouldn't have naturally appeared for, with your exact match keywords in your other main campaign. So it can be good for picking up extra additional high intent searches that you wouldn't have naturally appeared for already. But most of the search terms do tend to be irrelevant, especially when you're offering a service that's specific and there's a lot of search terms that won't make sense for you to appear for in the first place. So, from my limited experience with AI Max so far, I wouldn't say it's as good as regular search, especially if you're used to having really tight control over your campaigns like we have here with exact match keywords that we know are very likely to convert. So as of now, I would still say that regular search is still the way to go, especially if you don't have the large budget to be running different experiments. So if you are running search campaigns and would like a free checklist that contains everything you need to remember in terms of the setup and optimization to run a successful search campaign inside Google Ads, I'll leave the link for this checklist down below. And if you are a service based business looking to have everything done and implemented for you, including everything from the conversion tracking, landing pages, and so on, I'll also leave a link for that down below. But just to give you a really simple explanation overall as to what AI Max actually is and how it works, is that it allows you to run search campaigns on the search network just like you have with your keywords and responsive search ads, except when you're making your Google Ads campaign, you literally get to the point where you add in your campaign settings, and by turning this feature on, it literally does all of the targeting for you. So there definitely is more and more movement towards automation inside Google Ads, like we had previously, for example, using target CPA bidding and smart bidding as a whole, and can be good in the sense that you can get campaigns up and running a lot quicker. But overall, what I've seen from my experience so far, and you might seen it with responsive search ads, for example, that are automatically made with all the headlines filled in before you change them yourself. Usually the ads that Google's AI makes isn't going to be as compelling as what you'd be able to come up with yourself. But at the same time, I do only expect this to improve with time because any of the newer features that get rolled out, for example, target CPA and smart bidding, they only got better with time also. And what I would recommend if you were to try out AI Max is that you don't just go to make a new campaign and just let it set up everything on your behalf. What I would recommend is either duplicating an existing campaign like we did and turning on AI Max in the new duplicated version, or else with the existing campaign that you have, you can also set up a custom experiment where you send 50% of the traffic to one version of the campaign, that's the search campaign you've been running the whole time, and half of the traffic and spend going to the new version, which is AI Max, and then you can compare the results that you get from each of them directly. And that way, then you can always pause the experiment at any point if the regular search campaign is really out competing the AI Max. And it can always be retested then every few months because I do only expect it to get better with time. So even if it doesn't work well at all right now, that doesn't mean it's not going to start working a lot better 6 months from now. But one case as well that I do see AI Max working better, I do think in the campaigns that have gone a step further beyond the typical, leads conversion tracking where all the form submissions and phone calls are being tracked. I do think those that are actually tracking offline conversions where they're sending actual profit data back to Google Ads, for example, at least qualified leads, which would be the next step beyond actual leads, which would be just phone calls and form submissions. And an actual step beyond that then would be actually tracking sales and obviously sending that profit data back to Google Ads. Because if you're using AI Max, at least the fact that things are so much broader and you can appear for so many search terms, at least with more accurate conversion tracking, you're able to optimize more for the types of leads that are more likely to result in profitable jobs as opposed to anybody that's just going to make a phone call or fill out the form on your website. But lastly, overall, if you are on the fence and trying to figure out, whether or not you should use AI Max for your own Google Ads campaigns, what I would say is that let's just say your account has a fairly limited budget, let's just say a couple thousand per month or less, then for the most part, I typically only recommend using search campaigns for now, to be honest, because that's where you're going to get the highest intent traffic from. And you really want to just focus on those highest intent search terms as much as possible before expanding out to other campaign types, and that includes Performance Max as well. Whereas on the other hand, then much larger accounts with much higher daily budgets across all their accounts that have the budget to be running different kinds of experiments, and also those accounts likely have a ton of conversion data and might be using a lot of smart bidding and broad match keywords, for example, as well, then it likely makes a lot more sense to start running AI Max experiments in those kinds of accounts. So I hope this video helped and gave you some clarity on how AI Max works inside Google Ads. Now, I would have liked to shown the actual numbers from using AI Max, but you can just imagine that it's a search terms report that's just overloaded with, there is a lot of irrelevant search terms that you get with AI Max. So that's what you can expect to see if you do use it. But as I mentioned, it does make sense to try it out if you have larger accounts and are already using broader and smarter bidding and have a lot of data overall. But if you do have any questions about anything we mentioned inside the video, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you do like this Google Ads content as well, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And if there are any particular aspects of the setup and optimization of a Google Ads campaign you'd like further clarification on, feel free to have a look at one of the videos in the playlist that you should see on the screen right now that contains individual videos of each of the steps in setting up and running a successful Google Ads campaign.